The following is an independently produced community access program. The viewpoints expressed are those of the community access producer and do not reflect those of Shaw Cable Systems. The program is presented in response to CRTC policy guidelines regulating community programming.
Hi folks, and welcome to the fourth episode of Calling BS, the best sports talk show you are going to watch or listen to depending on all week. I am your co-host, Brian Svensson, the hockey hipster, member of the Yes Movement, and that over there is my co-host, Sean Nandel, the terror of Twitter, proprietor of the Season Is Not Over Yet campaign. And we want to welcome you to yet another episode of Calling BS. What we do here is we keep things short and sweet. So we have a timer here for us and a timer here for you guys that runs down 4 minutes where we talk about a single topic in sports. 3 topics every single week, the topics that we think are the most important to talk to you about because you're just as important as everyone else out there. So the 3 topics that we've got this week are the Jets goalie situation, an National League and an American League in reverse order, I guess, Major League Baseball preview. So with that, let's get started. Whoop. The Jets goaltending situation. Now, Andre Pavlik and Al Montoya, obviously they can't be our goaltending situation next year if we wish to succeed as the Jets. So what do you suggest that we do to improve that situation over the offseason?
Well, you have to be realistic about the situation, too, in terms of who you can bring in. You're not going to get someone like a Ryan Miller, probably not Jonas Hiller as well. So I'm thinking a guy like Jaroslav Halak. I'm jumping on the Jaroslav Halak bandwagon here. I've been on it for a few years. I've loved the guy even going back to his Habs days, and you know how much I love the Habs, Brian.
Oh, my.
Yeah, so Jaroslav Halak, does he have some warts in his game? Yeah, absolutely he does. He's kind of like Pavlik, where the more that he plays, the worse that he gets. But at the same time, too, though, the guy has put up pretty good numbers throughout his career. He has a .917 career save percentage in the regular season.
And a .238 goals against average also in the regular season. And on top of that, the guy is clutch. He's got a playoff gear. We saw that against Washington with the Montreal Canadiens. We saw that against Pittsburgh. Right. We've seen that when he's had chances to play in St. Louis. Yeah. The guy just has another playoff gear. And if you want to talk about succeeding in the playoffs, he's going to be able to get you there, or at least help get you there. Yeah. But once you get there, he is going to help you succeed, and I think that's a big deal. And
like if you have a tandem of him and Pavlik next season, I'm pretty comfortable with that. Because Pavlik, the problem with him is since the team has come to Winnipeg, he hasn't had anyone to push him strong enough. Chris Mason wasn't all that great, and you have Al Montoya barely played last year. He's played well this year in the time that he's, the action that he's seen, but I don't think he's an answer to be a number one guy. Because like I said, he has that same problem that Pavlik has. The more that he plays, the worse that he seems to get. So, there's talk about buying out Pavlik or something like that. Well, if you're going to buy out Pavlik, you better make sure you have a solid option.
Absolutely, but even if you sign Pavlik, are you willing to spend $8 million on the goaltending position on 2 guys?
Yeah, that's the thing, but the cap is going up almost $7 million for next season, too.
And you're probably shedding the salary of Jokin, and you're probably shedding the salary of Setaguchi. You might be shedding the salary of Kane or Bufflin, depending.
Right, that's true.
Another guy I want to talk about, I know he's older, but he's at more of a stopgap, is Thomas Vokoun. Yeah. You could probably grab him at about $2 million a year. He's got a .255 goals against average, a career .917, same as Halak's save percentage. He's 37 years old, yes, but he's a stopgap. You've got Comrie coming up from the system. Right. He's going to be there. He's going to be solid as long as he stays healthy. Another option, I think, is Brian Elliott. If they sign Ryan Miller in St. Louis, they're not going to sign Brian Elliott. He's a guy that's making $1.5 million a year right now. He's probably going to see around 2.5 to 3 come the free agent period. This is a guy who is he's got better numbers than Pavlik in the net, and he's only 28 years old, same 1 year younger than Montoya. He's an option if they let him go. Right. And of course, what do you think about the talk of trading for Cam Ward from Carolina?
That would be an interesting pickup. He's a guy sorely in need of a change of scenery. I'm not ready to write him off just yet. I'm not sure how comfortable I would feel, though, with him in a Jets uniform. But if you have a tandem of him and Pavlik, I might be okay with that. But certainly the last few years have not been too kind to Cam Ward. 2006 was a very long time ago when he won the Conn Smythe Trophy.
I think he won the Calder of the Year right afterwards, didn't he, as well? He was certainly in the running. Anyways, I don't know if the Jets have the pieces to make that trade.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Carolina would really ask for a lot, though. I'm sure they're willing to shed his salary, just get rid of him. They got Anton Hudobin signed. Fair
enough. And we are out of time for that topic. On to the next topic. We're going to talk about the American League. Whoop! Let's talk about the American League. Who you've got, who are you looking forward to seeing, and who do you think is going to be a disappointment? Who do you think is going to create some buzz?
Well, I said it before on this show. I think the Detroit Tigers will be the team to beat in the American League this year. I have them picked as my World Series champion. But of course, you also have a team like the New York Yankees really reloaded in the offseason to not only get back into postseason contention, but to take another run at a championship. Other teams that I'm curious to watch, obviously Oakland. We both enjoy watching Oakland, right?
Yeah, there's just something special that goes on at the Coliseum. Whatever Billy Beane puts together with his math and programs, it just seems to create an odd style of baseball every year that's just interesting to watch. They do the same thing in Tampa Bay, and I know you get to watch a lot of Tampa Bay games. It's just so much fun to watch those two, Billy Beane and whoever's managing for him, and Madden in Tampa, and you know, just seeing the kind of crazy things they do with their players. I'm interested in watching both of those teams play.
For sure.
To be honest, I'm really interested to see what the Royals do this year.
Yeah, they finally had their first winning season last year for the first time since 1993. Still looking to make the postseason for the first time since 1985 when they won the World Series, their first and only World Series. And yeah, they have a lot of young talent coming down the pipeline. They have an ace in James Shields, who did great for them last year. They had to give up their top prospect, Will Myers, to get him, but still, it was a trade to help them in the here and now. And they're so deep in young talent anyway, they could have afforded to make that kind of deal. So yeah, that's another team I'm interested to watch. I'm not sure they make the postseason quite yet. I think they'll be knocking on the door for contention, 88, 90 wins, but I think they'll just narrowly miss out. I don't think their time is quite yet.
Okay, fair enough. Now, of course, they're being in Manitoba, we have a lot of local fans of the Twins. Right. What do you see happening for the Twins this year?
It's a team that has a lot of young talent coming down the pipeline. In terms of what they have in the majors right now, though, I see them finishing last in that division again, probably. Or actually not second last. I think the White Sox will be the worst team in that division. But I see the Twins being fourth. I see them being more of a team built for 2 or 3 years down the road, not quite this year.
Yeah, I can agree with that. They've got quite a few young prospects, and moving Joe Mauer to first base is a huge deal because it lengthens his career. He's going to be able to still be a top star 2 or 3 years down the road when those prospects are starting to come into fruition.
And it gets them through that contract. They're paying him big money, so they have a long-term investment in this guy. You're right. It was a smart move.
Absolutely a smart move. Now, being in Canada, of course, we also have fans of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Right.
Now, the Blue Jays are 2-1 as of recording this, having 2 wins in the Trop against the Devil Rays. I guess just the Rays now.
Rays now, yeah.
Now, we've seen some interesting games so far. A really good pitching performance from Mark Burley and Jose Bautista. 2 home runs in a game. Is this signs of what's to come?
3 games in, way too early to say. It's a 162-game season, so we're just a fraction of the way through. But I mean, we knew going into the season that hitting would be no problem for this team. They would hit a lot of home runs. The defense looks good too. Maybe a bit of a concern at second base, but like you've told me before, having 1 concern out of 9 isn't really anything to get too worked up about.
Yeah.
The bullpen looks good. The starting rotation obviously is a concern, but good performances by Drew Hutchison and Mark Burley so far. But I mean, there are concerns if Hutchison can keep that going throughout the season. You got Brandon Morrow going to the mound today as we record this, and then you also have who else was in the mix? So all of a sudden, I'm drawing a blank as to who else is in the rotation.
He's been there for Dustin McGowan.
Yeah, thank you, Dustin McGowan. Once the prize of their prospect system, he's also in the rotation.
And we're done with talking about the AL for the day, and we're going to move on to, my opinion, the less interesting league, the National League. So, 4 minutes. Let's talk about the National League.
Sure. Well, 3 teams that I'm interested to watch this year are the Washington Nationals, the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the San Francisco Giants. Now, with the Nationals, they underachieved last year, still finished with a respectable 86 wins, but last year they were considered World Series contenders, got off to a really bad start. They couldn't dig themselves out of it, had a good finish to the season, but they came up short for the postseason. And they looked really stacked this year. They added Doug Fister to a starting rotation that includes Steven Strasburg, Gio Gonzalez, and Ryan Zimmerman. And so that's a pretty good starting rotation there. And if you look at their position players too, they're very strong all around. And if you look at the Diamondbacks, I'm really excited. You know, I thought they had a good season last year. They only went 81-81, but I thought after trading Justin Upton to the Braves, they were in for a bad season, but they were pretty good. Martin Prado was a good return for them. And now you got Mark Trumbo behind Paul Goldschmidt in the lineup.
You want to talk about a really solid 3-4 combination of hitters.
Exactly.
And we talked about it on our audio podcast that in order to make a good offense, you really only need 3 guys.
Right.
And so they've got 2. And if Prado can be that third, man, they're gonna do some good things in that division.
I think they could be a dark horse this year, that's for sure. And then you have the San Francisco Giants, who seem to have this recent trend. I don't think they'll win the World Series this year, but they seem to have one good year and then one bad year, and they're just coming off a bad year.
A really bad year.
Yeah, and so I think they'll bounce back because really last year in their starting rotation, outside of Madison Bumgarner, everyone struggled across the board. And these guys have too much big game experience, too much championship pedigree to have another off year like that.
Absolutely. Now, I agree with you. I mean, they have too much there to not do anything this year. And that division has a weird way of just being a swirling vortex of who knows what's going to happen, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, every team could be good or every team could be bad. I don't think there's a single bad team in that division. It's just, you know, it depends on who plays good at what time, who gets lucky, who gets the good trades. So that'll be the most interesting division, in my opinion, in baseball. Now, you can't be wearing that jersey and have us not talk about the Mets. Are they in for another disastrous year?
I think so. You know, the GM, Sandy Alderson, was saying he wants his team to have a 90-win season. Wow, that is incredibly ambitious of him to say, and especially without your ace, Matt Harvey, on the mound. You know, this is a team that's had a bunch of losing seasons in a row. I don't see how they get to 90 wins.
You don't think that Bartolo Colon and Curtis Granderson are going to help out David Wright and the rest of that team?
Oh, David Wright, I'm a huge fan of. The problem is he can't stay healthy. With Bartolo Colon, I don't think he's going to be anywhere near what he was in Oakland the last couple years. And Curtis Granderson, I mean, it's a nice way to make some headlines in New York when you're competing with the Yankees and all these other professional sports franchises in that city. But really, besides a few footnotes in the newspapers, I don't see that signing really panning out for them. It seems like whenever the Mets make a big free agent signing, it blows up in their face. It just doesn't work out for them.
I actually think, now 90 seasons well out of reach, but I think they could easily scrape mid-70s. I think they could.
Well, they had 74 last year. That's probably going to be what they're around, I guess.
Yeah, 77, 78, maybe touching 500 at 81 and 81.
Maybe flirting with it at best.
I could see it. Now, I want to say just a congratulations to former Goldeyes reliever Ian Thomas,
that's right,
who broke into the major leagues with the Braves on opening day. So congratulations to him. I'm interested to see what the Braves are going to do this season. Of course, they had a collapse at the end of last season after starting out red hot. And so it'll be interesting to see how they pan out. They really need to step up their game from where they finished last season.
Yeah.
Now, thank you very much for watching us. We are all out of time for today. So for Sean and Brian and our lovely, lovely crew, I want to thank you very much for watching Calling BS Show. This is the 4th episode on Shaw TV's Community Creations Television. And until we see you next week, have a good one.
The proceeding was an independently produced community access program. The viewpoints expressed are those of the community access producer and do not reflect those of Shaw Cable Systems. The program is presented in response to CRTC policy guidelines regulating community programming.